Hello everyone, Sergeant Arger right here, and today I'm actually pretty excited because I got Adobe Premiere Pro. I had it this whole time, but I just need to install it. So now I don't have an excuse to not edit my videos. So yeah, there might not be a huge improvement in quality instantly. I probably still need to play around with it, but I know the basics. I know how this works. I've used it before. So, hopefully in this video there'll be some interesting little tidbits, but yeah. Aside from that, we are on part 4 of extra credits' thing on Otto von Bismarck. What's weird is that I thought they were called extra history. Because you see it there. I think they might have changed their name. Because they don't necessarily do history videos. Like, not 100% of their videos are history anymore. So maybe that, I don't know. I don't know.
It is go time in Bismarck land.
Bismarck land. Oh, Bismarck town. Okay. Wait, that was the whole intro? Okay. Interesting.
Bismarck had a list, and he was checking it twice. Action item number 1 on that list, steamroll some Danes.
Ooh.
16 years
Oh, here we go! Yes.
prior, in 1848, Prussia had invaded Denmark with the hopes of annexing the largely German-speaking duchies of Schleswig and Holstein. But the threat of international intervention had sent them packing. Now it was time for revenge, or
Yes.
at least a very
And now Austria is going to help them.
pragmatic seizure of territory. You see, the Danish king had just cacked it, and as basically always happens when a European king checks out, his death left everybody scrambling over the succession. And in this case, that scramble was played out between one staunchly Danish branch of the family and one sympathetic to the Germans. When the Danish group won out, they decided that it was high time to rule Schleswig and Holstein directly, to finally incorporate them into the Kingdom of Denmark, not to leave them as semi-independent duchies with their own weird rules and privileges. This violated a treaty the Danes had signed with the Prussians, though, and gave Bismarck his chance.
Yes.
But it
So it was a good thing they violated their autonomy.
Also made things tricky. After all, if Bismarck used ideas of liberating the oppressed and defending smaller nations' rights
Then wouldn't...
to justify invading Schleswig-Holstein, he'd have to find a really good reason for sticking around to occupy those places himself, instead of just leaving again. He had been setting up these dominoes for a while, though. There would be no repeat of the last time when they had to flee due to other powers coming in on the side of the Danes. He had already secured the friendship of the Russians, and made vague promises to the French that they might see some territory out of the whole deal if Prussia was allowed to absorb Schleswig and Holstein.
Wait, what?
And without some territory out of the whole of the Russians, and made vague promises to the French that they might see some territory out of the whole deal if Prussia was allowed to absorb Schleswig and Holstein.
They didn't.
And without Russia or France, Britain would protest, but they'd never actually go to war on the Danish side. He had also suckered in Austria, convincing them that they were all on the same side, Germans defending Germans and all that.
Well, Austria wasn't really German. They were like a gajillion different, like, nationalities or ethnicities and languages.
Convinced them to be allies and contribute a horde of troops to the effort. And this is key. Not only did he need Austrian troops to secure a quick victory, but it would also make them complicit. If, after they won, he said that Prussia was going to take territory, the Austrians wouldn't walk away without their share, which not only meant that European public opinion wouldn't turn against Prussia, but also meant that he wouldn't lose the moral high ground in the German Confederacy.
That is very smart. Good job, Bismarck. Wow. Wow. I'm very impressed. Seriously. Like, wow.
And his plan worked perfectly. The combined Prussian-Austrian forces rapidly overran Denmark. The Danes had to grant the independence of Schleswig and Holstein. Bismarck made some ludicrous demands, and the Austrians, not wanting to be left out, eventually caved to a compromise that left Bismarck exactly where he actually wanted to be. Prussia would keep Schleswig. The Austrians would get Holstein.
That's stupid. Holstein is like way better than Schleswig.
And he would get a small pile of other minor concessions to boot.
Okay.
But Bismarck was always a man of large appetites. He didn't come all this way to only get Schleswig, and so
That seems a bit weird, though. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense for Prussia to get the Holstein? Because yeah, wouldn't it make a lot more sense for Prussia to get Holstein since they directly border it? Because if Prussia has it, they would have to, get on a boat and, awkwardly travel across.
Small pile of other
That's so weird.
Minor concessions to boot. But Bismarck was always a man of large appetite. Of the plan commenced. Operation Make Fun of Austrian Incompetence. He played up everything that went wrong in Holstein and talked openly about it being a breeding ground for revolutionaries. His sound and fury brought the two nations to the brink of war, but both of their monarchs wanted to avoid such a conflict between brothers. Wilhelm accepted the possibility of war, but forbade Bismarck from explicitly goading the Austrians anymore. But Bismarck's work on that front was already done. He had a backup plan in case war didn't come. Bismarck always had a backup plan. But he spent most of his time trying to shore up alliances, to make sure that Prussia was ready for the fight his king sort of didn't want. First, the Italians. Victor Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, because Italy was just being formed. Sardinia and Piedmont was or Piedmont Sardinia was taking over the world in Italy. If that doesn't make any sense. But they're just taking over all that land in there to unite the Italian people, and then Austria had some Italian land.
Well, the man trying to unify Italy desperately wanted to take over Venice, which was in Austrian hands. I mean, how can you have an Italy with no Venice? But he was never going to have the strength to fight Austria alone, and so Bismarck seized on this, getting him to agree that if Prussia and Austria went to war, the newly formed Italian kingdom would join in for only the small price of one Venice, which...
Well, keep in mind, it wasn't just Venice. It was Veneto and Milan. I'm pretty sure those are Italian states. But it was basically those two Italian states, and that were one puppet country under Austria's rule, and that's what Italy wanted.
Bismarck didn't really want anyway. Next, the French. While not publicly successful in securing the French as allies, Bismarck was dealing with Napoleon III here, a man too clever for his own good by half. Napoleon III, who saw himself as the equal of his famous uncle, but really wasn't, took the only course of action that would get him nothing. He wouldn't support Prussia, but he wouldn't support Austria either. This was just fine by Bismarck. Finally, Bismarck kept pressure on Austria, having Prussian officials meet with Romanians and Magyars, Czechs and Serbs, any ethnic minority within the Austrian Empire, all in order to make it look like he was building allies and raising legions of revolutionaries ready to revolt the moment the Austrians went to war. But Bismarck's plans were interrupted by one thing he did not factor in.
Oh no, Britain?
As he walked down the great boulevard, two shots broke the quiet. Whirls. A young man stands before him, revolver in hand.
Wait, but Bismarck is that... He's really, maybe his dual experience could do something.
51-year-old Bismarck grabs him. 3 more shots ring out as they grapple. Finally, soldiers run up and subdue the young man. As the assassin is hauled off, they check Bismarck for wounds. One finds a hole in his coat, and follows it to find a hole in his waistcoat, which, with some trepidation, he follows to find a hole in Bismarck's shirt. All 5 shots had hit, but...
Every one hit? Dang. Also, look at his underwear, what the heck?
One of them had either only grazed him or bounced off of his ribs.
That is lucky. Oh my god.
In a moment that history doesn't record, but I think we all know happened, Bismarck simply nodded to the soldier, said, "Iron Chancellor," put on shades, and walked away. Refusing to let one measly assassination attempt get in the way of a good war, Bismarck went right back to work getting the German-speaking world to tear itself apart. And as rumors swirled, the Austrians felt...
Yeah, and by the way, the reason why he actually tried to assassinate Bismarck was because he was very big mad that he was, he was sort of like putting German countries against each other, so Prussia could come out on top. He wasn't a fan of that. He wanted them to all sort of like be more nice to each other, and if they were going to unite, then unite through diplomatic means. So yeah, that's why he was mad at Bismarck, because Bismarck was, he was going to war and all of that, and that dude didn't want Germans to die.
Felt they had to make a move, so they called the Pan-German Diet in Frankfurt to decide the issue of Schleswig and Holstein. The Diet moved against Prussia, but this played right into Bismarck's hand. The moment the Diet came to their decision, the Prussian representative read a statement that Bismarck had prepared for just such a moment, declaring the Diet invalid and the German Confederation dissolved.
Oh
now
my god.
It would be war. It would be the northern German states and Prussia against the southern German states and the Austro...
Okay, first of all, what the heck? It's literally spoiling what happened in the war, because it's showing how much land Prussia is taking. Like, look. As you can see, it shows that Prussia took over Holstein and part of Czechia right there. What the heck? It's like spoiling it.
Austrian Empire. Hundreds of thousands of men were mustered.
Okay, just looked it up, and apparently the puppet state... Oh, come on, Eclipse. Come on. My cat decided to come in. Isn't Milan and Veneto, it's just Veneto. So, I was wrong about that. Come on. There he is. Okay, let's continue.
Could have been a long war, but now the king had in his service a general as capable on the battlefield as Bismarck was in the conference room, General Moltke. The uncle...
Wait, what? Moltke? Wasn't he in World War I as well? He's old. Oh my god.
Of the General Moltke, who will so disastrously...
Didn't he also fight in World War II? Can you stop, Eclipse? Why? I can't see.
Lead the German forces into the First World War. This Moltke could not have been more different from his nephew. He was one of the first to see that the modern rifle had made the idea of the frontal charge obsolete. He grasped the importance of railroads for mobilization and realized that modern armies were too big to be commanded by one man, that plans should be flexible and subordinates should be allowed to take initiative within them.
So he's like... Wow, he's like completely modernizing the Prussian army. This is literally... It's almost like the beta version of Blitzkrieg. Like, it has its fundamental ideas, like for modern warfare. I mean, not necessarily Blitzkrieg. I don't know why I said that, but you know what I mean. It's interesting.
It was this Moltke who famously said, "Plans never survive contact with the enemy." Moltke led a lightning war, crushing the once great Austrian Empire
and that's means Blitzkrieg.
In weeks. And now, where Bismarck had once had to work so hard to get the king to go to war, their success had been so great that he had to work equally hard to get the king to stop. Bismarck realized that they could only push so far before the other great powers stepped in and all of the work that he had done would be undone. More still, he believed that once he had eclipsed them, he might need the Austrians to serve as a balance against one of the other great powers, so he must not impose on them a peace that would leave them hating Prussia. So Bismarck called in his erstwhile enemy, the Crown Prince, the same Frederick Wilhelm who he had so unsuccessfully tried to put on the throne as a toddler, and put him to work reining in his father. Fritz, a lover of peace despite being an excellent military commander, convinced the king to accept.
How does that make any sense? What the heck? How does that work? He's an excellent. What?
The deal that Bismarck had on the table. Prussia would take over most of northern Germany. The German Confederation.
Oh yeah, they would make a new country called the North German Confederation, which would last a little bit, and then that would form into the German Empire much later.
As a body would be disbanded. Their Italian allies would get Venice, and Austria would forever be banned from any pan-German parliament, or from meddling in German affairs.
Jeez.
Oh, and weirdly, Liechtenstein became an independent country. So that all.
Wait, because of this war?
So, all in all.
Why? Why did Liechtenstein become an independent country? I'm so confused.
Things were looking up for Bismarck's grand project of uniting all of Germany under Prussian rule. There just loomed one more obstacle.
Hey.
One great nation that, although neutral so far,
France.
would oppose any further increase in German unity and strength. There was the problem of France.
Those darn French. Okay, well anyways, we're done with that, and, tomorrow we'll be reacting to, well, hopefully it'll talk about them fighting France. That'd be cool. Yeah. That should be fun. If you enjoyed that, what are you looking at, Eclipse? Are you watching the video? If you enjoyed that video, make sure to... Can you... Stop. He's, attacking me. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to like and subscribe. And all the other, jazz. Yeah, goodbye. Hello everyone, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. And, turn on the notification bell thingy. And if you didn't, then make sure to leave a thumbs down. But yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. And while you're at it, go ahead and watch my other videos. They're probably just as good, and if not better than this one right now. Except for my oldest videos, don't watch those. And, subscribe to these people down here, my fellow sergeants. They're other YouTubers that I either know or I have in high regards. Yeah, even my cat agrees. So, thank you for watching, and have a great day.